Hi, I'm going to go ahead and run through a small tutorial on the Google Summer of Code 2013 Paint. Um, you can go here to graphical.org and look here under the GSOC 2013 Paint. There's several builds available, mostly are Windows. Um, the one I'm going to use was actually from here, the hash 57C64A5 from about 3 days ago by Tungers. But Sci-Fi has already himself put up another one about 9 hours ago. Like I said, was already working with this one. So I'd like to go ahead and get into this one. Here we've got, this is the Blender 270 build. Like I said, 57C64A5, and it says Summer of Code 2013 Paint. Okay, I'm just going to get into it. We're going to work with just the cube and do some stuff with the curves and the different things, options available painting wise, but I'm going to work with the 3D view for right now. I've got to get my stuff set up because I have a tendency to work a certain way since I do mostly 2D art and 3D texturing. So I'm going to join these for right now. I'm going to change this to a UV image editor up here, and I'm going to press F5 over the toolbar to get it over here on the right. I prefer to have my toolbar over here, and for right now I don't really need anything in the end panel, so I'll press N to close that off. And well, here we go. We're going to start up. One thing we need to do is go to edit mode, and we want to unwrap our cube here. Press U, and I'm going to go with Smart UV Project, and I'm going to give an island margin of 0.3. Hit OK. Then here in the UV image editor, I'm going to scale them in just a touch to make sure I've got area for the image. Now what I want to do is make sure in my material, now I'm working with Blender Render right now. I actually prefer to work with painting in Blender Render since I can use the GLSL. Cycles is great for the shaders, but as far as painting goes, I'm still not a fan, not yet. Here in this texture, I'm going to specify an image. I'm going to create new, and we're going to just leave that untitled for right now. I'm just going to just work with a single image, but I'm going to go ahead and go for 2048 by 1024. Sorry, 2048, and I'm going to start with a black one just so you can see what happens. Down here where it says the mapping, instead of generated coordinate, I'm going to go with UV, and I'm going to choose that image here under there. So there you'll see the image, the UVs against the image. And then for right now, what I'm going to do is leave it at just color, but we're going to end up turning on normal here in a little bit. And like I said, this is just, I've got that open so I can set up brushes and stuff too. Okay, for right now, I'll click there and I'll go to brush mask. That's where I'm going to be adding some stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to go to texture paint, and you'll see we now have a lot of really cool icons, much better than what we had before. They're more, actually they look more like the interface now. I'm going to just work right now with just the regular brush. I'm going to drag this out a little bit so you can see what's going on. One of the first things I want to do is change this first color to a 50% gray. So 0.5, enter. And here's one thing I want to show you really fast is that you can drag, oops, sorry. I need to work from this side on that. in the paint tools here, you can drag the color over and drop it onto your canvas. And so there you go. We've got that gray. I'm going to put that back into view mode for now. But I'll zoom in on one of these so you can see what's going on in a minute. Okay. So being it's 50% gray, it's still kind of dark. I need to go back into object mode. I forgot about doing that. 7. Okay. Shift S, selection to cursor. End panel, let me turn on in shading panel here, multi-texture to GSL. And I'm going to go to textured draw mode. And I'm going to bring it out from the cursor about like there. That looks like it's got enough light there. I'm going to press the period key, and then I can Alt D my light and then rotate Z 180, then selecting the other one again, Alt D, rotate Z 90, then Alt D again and rotate X 90, and so that gives me my lighting. I just want to make sure I've got enough there. Okay, and H to hide. I don't want them in my way while I'm working. And that gives us a better view. And close that panel off again. Selecting my box. I'm going to go back to texture paint mode. And I know this is really boring right now, but we're going to get into the side view with a number pad 3. Get in here. I'm going to try not to zoom anymore for the rest of the, the deal. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to use just this regular brush. We're going to set our stroke from space to one of the other features. I'm going to use curve, but I want to show you that you can use the E key to bring up the curve type. And to use this, we're going to control click the point where we want to start, and then I'm going to control click the next point. And I'm actually, well, I want to keep it square, so I'm not going to stretch it. And to close this, you really can't close them, so I'm putting another point here, and that gives me my leg. While it's selected, I can grab it. Sorry, I kind of get it off. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna work on the pixels from both sides of the curve. But this ends up being our path of stroke. And right now it doesn't look like we're doing anything yet, but this is going to get interesting here in a second. I'm going to change the mix mode to multiply. You'll see you have a whole bunch of options now that weren't there. I'll turn my strength down a little bit. And I'll turn my pixels up a little bit. And under brush mask, I'm going to choose a distorted noise. Turn the colors ramp, and I want to bring that ramp down to there. Here's a preview of kind of what you're getting. Okay, so while this curve is in place, the enter key, and you barely can see, so maybe I need to turn the strength up just for a second so you can see it, and you see the little pieces coming in. Okay, then I'm going to turn the radius down. And a couple more enter keys and you start seeing things. Then I'm going to turn the power way up, turn it down. I'm going to turn it down to about midway. Then another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size. Hold shift key while you move the size meter. And I'm going to turn it down to 0.08, and I'm going to radius. I'm going to give it more of a radius past the edge. Hit enter, and you'll see it's got a lot more detail in there. And I'd like to get some larger ones that are a bit stronger, so we'll go back the other way. And here, radius. And what I'd like to do is go back and turn. I want to turn the normals on here. Here we go. Finally got over to it. I'd like to give it an effect on the normal, but not so much that it kills me. So I'm going to use the shift key and bring this down to somewhere in there. Okay, so then this gives us kind of like almost a concrete thing, where we've got a lot of small detail, and then we got some larger edge detail, but we got this nice smooth surface in the middle. And what I'd prefer is, what I'm trying to show you is that instead of manually painting this and overlapping and then overdoing in a corner that's not even with the other corners, and then having to worry about turning on wrap or whatever for the stroke, I'll go ahead and use just this curve. And I want to go back. Well, I'll tell you what, let me turn on specular color. Nope. Hardness. There we go. The hardness setting will make it show more in the GLSL. Okay, up here in the UV editor, you'll see what we've done along the edges, and because we gave it that 0.3, I feel like that's why it gives a little bit overlap around the corner on this edge to make sure it's got a good number of pixels here. So we've got that. Let me get back to the brush, because we need to be able to get our settings in there, because we're gonna do this. We're going to go, okay, I think I'm on the side, so we're gonna go to 1, and this is what I was talking about. If we go 1 and then control pad number 3, see, they don't line up, but that's fine. 3 lines up, control 3 doesn't, but using shift middle mouse button, I just slide over, line the points up visually. Like I said, there's a lot of overlap, so we're not worried about that too much. So no problem. I've already got one setting for the large, so I'll go ahead and hit it. Okay, and with there, because we changed the settings for the normal and the specular, you're able to see it right away what we've got. So I'm going to turn the strength down to mid-range, and I'm going to say the size 0.08, like just manually, like what we were, and hit that maybe twice. And I'm going to change the radius a little bit, get it a little bit more out there. Okay, and then oops, there. Okay, so we got that. Okay, if I go up screen here, you'll see that we've got 2 squares affected. One's a little darker than the other, so maybe I just need to put some more in. So maybe a little more strength. Yeah, there we go. That's looking more like it. Okay, so now we've got 2 sides done. That was the side and the left and right. Okay, so now I need to go to front. Also, again, line up using the shift key and the middle mouse button. Okay, and I'll hit that a couple of times there. Oops, it's kind of heavy right there. Take the strength down a little bit. Hit it once. Okay, radius down. And then I'm going to put this back up to 8.4-ish. Okay, now do the other side. It's pretty boring after this. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal. It's kind of up to taste. Okay, we got all those. Then we're going to go to top and bottom. And what I want to do is I want to get these out of the way. Get the radius up a little bit. Do it again. Strength, radius out. Then I'm going to take the strength up a little bit, radius down, 0.4. Okay, and Control 7, same thing. I got it in there, go ahead and take care of it. Strength down some, radius up, 0.08. Okay. Okay, I think we got everything. We got everything in there. And what we want to do now is, since we've got that, what I'm going to do is go ahead and change stroke for now, just to get the to go away. Oh, let me show you one thing. Here it's named Paint Curve. You can change it to whatever you want, like if you want to name it for like side or circle or whatever you want to change it to. And the plus button means you can keep adding new curves to use in this brush, so you can actually pull this in to use for something else. In another brush you can actually pull that curve back in because it still exists here. Also, you can use that same curve over here in the 2D editor. So it's pretty powerful what you're able to do over here. Okay, so before I get going with anything else, I'm going to go ahead and just change this to just a space just for now. I'm going to go to the edit mode, and I want to bevel the box. Control B. Just change it out a little bit, and segments, just round it a little bit, maybe a little more. Because I'm doing that after we've already done the UV, it's added them here and the texture's already there, so for the most part it's nice and fair. This is a pretty simple object. But now we have this box. Okay, we can go back to texture paint here, and we can go back to using the curve. We'll try something else. I'm going to use the same curve, line up on it, and then I'm going to deselect A to select all, S to scale, and that's another thing you can do. You can rotate, you can scale it in. You can do all kinds of things with it. You can grab the points and reshape them. You can, just constantly move one piece in. If I wanted to, I could just select these 2 points and move them on X, or whichever way that this is going, and make a different stroke on each one. So anyway, we're going to use the other color. So I'm going to set that back to mix. I'm going to go to full on. The radius I'm going to take down to, we'll tell you what, I'm going to go with maybe 24. I'm going to set it to add, actually strength is going to be way down. Put it back to the other color. Hit enter. Oops. If you look very closely, you'll see that I've got the scratches and stuff on there. That's not what I meant to do. So in my texture mask, I need to temporarily disable that. That made for a raised area. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it, go to mix, go to a smaller radius, 6, and hit it. Strength isn't too low. Enter, enter, and it sinks it in. And so if you look at it from the side, we got that. Let me go ahead and go to the material and the texture, and I'm going to take the color off for a second, so you can see what's going on there. So we've just taken that and we've reused it as a stroke there. Okay, put the color back on. Okay. Now I'm going to scale it just a touch. And then I'm going to go back to that color. I'm going to add the mask back on. And strength's going to be mid. Radius is going to be, say, there, 33 maybe. Enter. Oh, that's too short. Oops, no wonder. Sorry. Multiply. Since I'm using this gray, I need to use the multiply in order to get any kind of effect. There. So we get that etching in here. And if we want to scale it in a little bit so we can get a little bit more focused on just the area where it's on the inside. See, I'm just dragging away. You get more of it right there in the center, depending on what you want. I can turn the radius really low, strength up real high, hit that there. I also need to look at my texture. Because I could use for some larger deals. There you go. Maybe 24. It looks okay. Okay, so there we go. We've got a box. We've got something. We're reusing the circle. And if I tried to hand draw that, that would be crazy. Let me go ahead and go into the 2D editor and show you this. We're going to go to Paint View. And see, I've even got the ability to go in here with this curve. Tools. Brush is still using the curve. We still have the same stuff. I can scale it in like this, grab it. If we want to, we can sit there and put that kind of stuff on there. Let me go ahead and turn off the texture mask. Got that, and then turn it down 5. Okay, and then go to the, find it, it's around here somewhere. There we go. We got some stuff going on. I mean, for anybody that's wanting to work on changing this stuff, you know, really quickly to knock it out, what I can envision is that if you've used some of this on a box to make it look like it's a piece of concrete, you could turn around and then make a mask very quickly for paint, to have it painted with a warning label or something like that. You know, it's really cool stuff. The other thing is that you can use multiple curves, so you're not stuck with this. But one thing I'd like to do is to go ahead and show you a couple of the other ways you can just keep manipulating this. Let's go ahead and go to a different kind. I'm going to go with the line, and pretty much it's pretty self-explanatory. Start and stop. You know, just once you've got it to the point where you want it. There you go. I didn't finish right there, so it looks kind of broken, but you can kind of get the feel. So turn around and change the line width on the fly with the F key. It's pretty crazy. It's an interesting way to do some small details, you know, and you don't have to just only use it for geometric stuff. If you use it right, you can use it for whatever you want, especially if you're making stencils or whatever. Okay, then another thing you can do is to use like a anchored. Now anchored was already in the sculpt tools, I think, but now it's part of this. Now this one came out kind of round, and that's not exactly the way I wanted it. So what I need to do there is to actually go to the curve itself, the brush curve, and do that, and then maybe bring it down a little bit. Maybe not. Oh, that's pretty cool. So that works, but you have to kind of like guesstimate the size of your circle, which is cool if you're doing it based on the center, working outward. Works pretty good. But I think what I would do in this case is actually use the drag dot and then set my brush to the size I want, and then drop it. So it's not staying anywhere until I stop. So as long as I drop it where I want it, it takes a little bit of practice. Okay, and then maybe flip the colors, change that to add, change my size of my dot. Oops. I doubled up and made it really white. But this works for a pretty fast turnaround. And maybe go back to multiply. Smaller. It's not perfect. I'm just trying to show you what's available. But previously, before Sci-Fi put this in, there was no way you're going to do all this quickly. Okay, and then Dots is normal. We've already used that space. Airbrush, anchored. Okay, line and curve was the main thing. But you can see how I mean, it's possible to do all kinds of stuff. Like I said, we had other ways to do this before, but you had to use all kinds of brushes with stencils and stuff. I'm sorry, I'm going to use the curve again, and this time I'm going to change. I'm going to add another curve, and then I'm going to show you what you can do with the Bezier. See, just drag out and then drag there, and you've got that. And then A to select, rotate. It'd be prettier if I could get it to work. Okay, crap. That'll work. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to work. There. Grab that, put that there. And then enter. And then there you go. And that was just done with just the texture. I mean, we're just talking about the curve. So there's a lot that you can do with this, and I hope everybody starts experimenting and trying this out and giving feedback to Sci-Fi, because there's a lot of things that can be done with this as a starting board before you go further. And like I said, on the brush masks, you've got way more than just the images. You've got all kinds of procedurals that you can use: regular noise, Stucky, which is, if you play that game with a ramp, you can bring the ramp down and change that, and then you can change your size overall to get all kinds of things going out: wall in, wall out, Voronoi, cell noise, all kinds of stuff. So I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do things. I appreciate you guys looking at this, and like I said, get over there to Graphic Call, download a version, try it out, give Sci-Fi as much input as you can, and maybe by 2.7.2 we might be looking at some of this getting included. Thanks a lot.